A seemingly united Labour front after days of talk about divisions within the party. In Uxbridge in West London, Boris Johnson's old seat, Labour's top trio launched their new vehicle for change.
But this one, Ange, I'm reliably told, has got a fridge in the back of it, so check that Boris Johnson isn't in there. He used to be around these parts.
Joking aside, Keir Starmer was keen to steer away from yesterday's apparent U-turn on allowing Labour veteran Diane Abbott to stand for re-election.
We have changed this Labour Party and put it back in the service of working people. What we're asking now, humbly asking, is the opportunity to change our country and put it back in the service of working people. And that requires both setting out our ambition to change the country, but also the first steps, the down payment, if you like, stabilising the economy, making sure we can deal with our waiting list, getting people back into work.
2 million more working is the target, including young people. The Conservatives, launching their own bus today in the North East, aren't having any of it.
We're the only ones who have a plan that is working when it comes to the economy. We're the only ones putting bold ideas on the table, like a modern form of national service, the Triple Lock Plus for pensioners, 100,000 new apprenticeships, because that's how we'll deliver a secure future to everyone in our country. Now, I know we've been through a difficult few years and people want to know that the future is going to be better. I can deliver that because I've got a plan, I'm taking bold ideas, and that's in direct contrast to what we're seeing from the Labour Party, with not a single new idea, and we're 10 days into this already.
The latest bit of that plan is to give 30 towns £20 million each, an extension of an existing policy that's part of the Levelling Up agenda. Blyth in Northumberland was one town given money through the deal last year. Another was Ashton-under-Lyne. As the main parties come to the end of their first full week of campaigning, it's here in Greater Manchester, in Angela Rayner's seat, where one of the newer and smaller parties has very deliberately chosen to launch its campaign. This was the unmistakable figure of George Galloway and his Workers' Party. He won a by-election up the road in Rochdale 3 months ago, campaigning for a ceasefire in Gaza. Now he's assembled more than 300 candidates to stand in seats around the country.
In a few weeks' time, you could have no MPs. Are you prepared for that?
Sure, if we get hundreds of thousands of votes and keep on getting bigger and bigger, then we'll still regard 2024 as having been the year of our breakthrough.
So no MPs could still be success?
If we got hundreds of thousands of votes across the country, it would be an indictment on the electoral system that we have.
George Galloway says Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer are two cheeks of the same backside. His supporters may well point to them both launching their party's buses on the same day to back up that view. The stage has long been set for this general election. Now the wheels are well and truly in motion.
Well, a little earlier I spoke to the Science and Innovation Minister, Andrew Griffith, and I began by asking why Rishi Sunak had been to so many seats that the Tories already hold, sometimes with huge majorities, but Labour's campaign was seemingly showing far greater ambition.
Well, the Prime Minister has been enormously active. It's been an energetic campaign. He's crisscrossed all over the country. Of course, as part of that, he'll have been visiting Conservative colleagues as well as other areas. The job of work for all parties at this election in the campaign is to persuade people to come out and vote. We know it's been a difficult few years for the country dealing with that unprecedented global pandemic, the geopolitical situations we're dealing with in different places around the world. So naturally enough, the Prime Minister wants to speak to all sorts of voters, and that does include people who voted Conservative for the first time in 2019.
But you've had actually quite a good week, haven't you? Labour's had quite a tricky week, and yet there's an opinion poll out tomorrow in The Observer that has you 2% down, and it's the best result for Labour since the disastrous days of Liz Truss. And this is after a good week in the campaign for you. So things aren't working out, are they?
No, I think anyone in any campaign, you work for every vote. Candidates up and down the country will be doing that, taking their message to voters. Importantly, reminding people what's at stake in this election. There are only two real candidates, much as though we admire the smaller parties. There's only two candidates to be the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak or Sir Keir Starmer. We haven't heard that much about his plan. We're all looking forward to the debates this coming week and subsequently, because there is real jeopardy, in my view, obviously, for the British people in the sort of fact we don't know what they really stand for. We do know this week that when Angela Rayner says she wants something, that's exactly what happens. So whether it's Diane Abbott standing for Parliament or whether it's French-style union laws.
I mean, the other thing that's happened, an email has gone out from Tory party headquarters basically asking for more money, but we're not even at the end of the second week of the campaign.
Well, look, of course campaigns cost money, but I don't see, when I talk to my colleagues up and down the country, I see what the Prime Minister and the party are doing. The key thing for us all at this point in the campaign is to be really getting that message across, exposing the jeopardy of what you get with Labour, our core message about if you think Labour are going to win, you better start saving now, because one way or another that's going to cost you. My big hope is that over the course of this campaign, people can understand the real choice that they're faced between carrying on with a government that's got a plan. It's been through difficult times, but we've got a plan, and that plan is starting to work.
But people know your plan, and they've been living with the Tory government for 14 years. And according to the opinion polls, they seem to have decided that they've had enough. And whatever you say now, they're just not listening. Or, whatever proposal you come up with is a bit like chucking spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks.
We've had to make tough, difficult decisions over the last few years. The whole British people have had to make sacrifices because of that global pandemic and the war in Ukraine. It is not easy, and we understand that. But an election is about the choice going forward. Do you stick with the government that's got a plan versus rolling the dice, taking that gamble, not knowing how that's going to get paid for, but it could hit you and your family?
Just finally and briefly, what is the one thing, the one policy that you think can persuade people who are having their doubts to vote yet again for a Tory government?
I'll give you one. Ultimately, it is a strong economy underpinned by the tough decisions we've had to make that powers our public services, that gives jobs to current and future generations, that allows us to continue to have a high standard of living and prosperity.
And one other thing I'm curious about, you could argue that, your biggest achievement over the last 14 years was Brexit. You haven't mentioned Brexit once.
With respect, I mean, you can choose your one thing. You asked me to choose one thing, and I chose the economy because it's the economy that powers people's opportunities. It's the economy that allows us to continue to afford high-quality public services.
Andrew Griffith, going to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.